All right, I want to go over absolute value inequality word problems. This is the last part, and then we'll start a review and have a test this week. Then we'll move on to another unit next week. All right, so before we solve these, I want to give you the format. You're going to write these inequalities in this form, guys. So go ahead and pause the video and write this down. So you're going to have your absolute value symbols. You got X inside of the absolute value minus an original amount, some amount that it starts with. And then in the middle, you have some inequality. If it's at most, you have less than or equal to. If it's at most, you have less than or equal to. If it's at least, you have greater than or equal to. Just pay attention to the words. And then on the other side of the inequality, you're going to have some variation or change. When I say variation or change, I mean like how much is it away from the original amount? You'll see that. But always put your inequality on the left, your absolute value expression on the left, and your variation on the right. It makes it easy to set up, okay? All right, so let's take a look. It says write an inequality. You're going to solve it, and then we're going to graph. The ideal diameter of a piston for one type of car engine is 90 millimeters. So we're talking about something that is circular. Diameter goes from one side of the piston to the other through the center. So basically it's saying that this length or diameter here is 90 millimeters. That's the widest part of your piston in your car engine. All right, it says the actual diameter can vary from the ideal by at most 8 thousandths millimeters, because it may not be exact when it's made. It may be, 8 thousandths millimeters off, give or take. So I can see that this is what they want it to be. That's how they originally have it set, but it can vary by that much. So it says find the range of acceptable diameters for the piston. So I'm going to go ahead and set up my inequality. X minus the original amount, or the amount that they want to set it at, which is 90. And then at most would be less than or equal to. So that's the greatest change. It can be that or less, guys. So what I do is I set up my two inequalities. Inequality 1 is x minus 90 less than or equal to 8 thousandths, and inequality 2 is x minus 90 greater than or equal to negative 8 thousandths, guys. Remember to change the sign. And then all you do is solve from there. So x can be less than or equal to 90 and 8 thousandths millimeters. Or if you add 90 to both sides here, and I'm going to show all the math. So I have 90. There's my decimal. Add my 3 zeros. That number goes on top. And I'm going to regroup. That becomes an 8, 9, 9, 9, and 10. That's a 0, guys. So that's going to be x greater than or equal to 89 and 992 thousandths, guys. And when you get to graph this thing, let's put millimeters on it. I'm going to put our units. I'm just going to put the numbers that I have. Close circle because both of them are equal. And I'm going to shade in between. So the diameter of the pistons can range from this value to that value, anywhere in between, or those actual numbers. All right, you're going to pause the video and you're going to try number 27. 28 is just like number 27. All right, this is what you should have gotten. It says the ideal weight for one type of model airplane engine is 33 and 86 ounces. That's the ideal or the original weight they would like for it to be. The actual weight can vary from the ideal weight by most 500 ounces. This is your variation or your change. Give or take 500 ounces. The weight can change by that. Find the range of acceptable weights for this engine. So I'm going to go with X minus what we originally wanted, which is 33 and 86 ounces. At most, meaning less than or equal to 500 of an ounce. So I'm going to set up the two inequalities. Minus 33 and 86 less than or equal to 500. The second one being X minus 33 and 86 greater than or equal to negative 500. Flip the symbol, flip the sign around, okay? Or change the sign. You're going to add 33 and 86 to solve for X. So we have X less than or equal to, that's going to be 1. Carry that 9. 33 and 91 And then here, still add your 33 and 86 Basically, it's like taking the nickel off, guys. I'm going to show you the math, though. Eight, 3, 3. So that's going to be 33 and 81 And let's put the units. The units is ounces, or you can use OZ. I'm just going to stick with OZ on this one, okay? So the airplane can weigh anywhere between 33 and 81 to 33 and 91 ounces. Basically, it can't be off by really that much. 500 ounces is not much at all. And you're just going to graph. Close circle on both. And your values for the number of ounces lie in between, and also include the ounces 33 and 91 and 33 and 81 These are pretty easy. All right, there are some corrections you're going to have to make on this one, guys. You're going to see this underneath here. Get rid of that. And I rewrote the statement at the end. All right, it says, at the TX Design Company, the average starting salary for a new designer is $33,600. But the actual salary could differ from the average by as much as $1,560. So we're going to write an inequality that could be used to determine the possible salaries if we take this job, and then we're going to solve it. Then we'll graph as well. I'll tell you, $33,600 may sound like a lot to you all, but it's not really that much money. All right, so that's the original salary, but it could vary or differ by as much as $1,560, which means it can be that number or less. Can't be over. Can just be $1,560 or less, okay? So I'm going to set my inequality up as X minus the original salary, but it can differ by as much. As much as means less than or equal to this amount, okay? And then you just go from there. Inequality 1 will be X minus 33,600 less than or equal to 1,560. And inequality 2 would be X minus 33,600 greater than or equal to negative 1,560. And I should have been using the word or the symbol and between these, okay? Those are less than, so they're ands. It is possible for your absolute value inequality word problems to be greater than. I just don't have any like that on here, but I think I have some like that on the review. Just pay attention to the words. Differing by as much as is less than or equal to, or at most is less than or equal to. Again, if you see something like at least, you know to flip it around to greater than or equal to. All right, but let's solve these. 33,600. You're going to add that to both sides. So you get x less than or equal to, excuse me, guys, 33,600 plus the 1560 gives us 35,160. So they could make that or less, or on this side, if we add 33,600, we're really not adding, we're going to subtract those two amounts. It's $32,040. Ooh, I wouldn't make it. So they can make anywhere between $32,040 and $35,160 with those numbers inclusive. And here's your graph. So everything on that graph represents the salaries for that, or possible salaries for the job, since it can differ by as much as 1560 in terms of money. Okay, let's take a look at 30. It says Caleb is a machinist at Golden Eagle Chopper Shop. To ensure the reliability of the motorcycle engines produced at the shop, Caleb machines each cylinder to 4 1/100 inch diameter, to a 4 1/100 inch diameter, with a tolerance of 2/10,000ths. This just means it can vary by that much, which is not much at all, okay? But you really got to be careful when you're making parts. You're doing a thing that's varies by a lot. You're going to have a defective engine, or that can cause accidents. All right, write and solve an inequality that represents the acceptable diameter. So let's take a look. We want the cylinder to have an original diameter of 4 1/100 inches. And it can vary by as much as that. So that's going to be less than or equal to. Can't vary by more than that, okay? All right, so we just start our two inequalities, x minus 4 1/100 less than or equal to 2/10,000ths, and x minus 4 1/100 greater than or equal to negative 2/10,000ths. And you just saw by adding 4 1/100 to both sides. So you got 4 1/100 plus that 2/10,000ths was less than or equal to 4 1/100 2/10,000ths, and it's in terms of inches, guys. Okay. Here, add that to both sides. 4 1/100 minus that 2/10,000ths is 4 98/10,000ths, but put inches. So your values for the diameter of the cylinder, which Caleb is making, can be from this amount to that amount, okay? That's the lowest it could be over here. This is the highest it could be. Or it can be anywhere in between. And we're just going to graph. I'm just going to put IN for inches. These are really easy. And it's inclusive. And then you just shade in between. That is all you do. All right, try 31, guys. Pause the video and try 31. All right, this is what you should have gotten for 31. It says a candy manufacturer puts 240 pieces of candy in each bag. The bag can be off by 8 pieces. When it says off by 8, meaning 8 or less, it can't be off by like 9, 10. So off by 8 would be less than or equal to 8. It says write an absolute value inequality that displays the acceptable amount of candy pieces that can be in the bag, and then we're going to solve. This is originally what you want in the bag. So we're going to go with x minus 240 less than or equal to 8. That's the variation. Set your two inequalities up, and I know you can solve this without the inequality, but we're practicing creating inequalities, okay? Flip your symbol, change your sign. Add 240 to both sides. So we can have at most 248 pieces of candy in the bag, or at the least, we can have 232 pieces of candy. Those are the possible pieces that could be in the bag. And then you just graph. These are really, 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 really easy. 232 to 248, and it's inclusive. And that is all you do. All right. You're going to pause the video and try number 32. It's a simple one, too. Okay. You know what? I'm going to go over there because you may not understand what deviation is. I can quickly address that. Deviation is just your amount of variation. How much does it differ by, okay? All right, I'll go ahead and go over it. It says an essay contest requires that essay entries consist of 500 words with an absolute deviation or variation of at most 30 words. Write an absolute value inequality to represent this, and then we're going to solve it, guys. So originally, they just want you to have 500 words. So it's x minus 500. At most, meaning less than or equal to 30. And you just set your two inequalities up. Again, I know you can solve these without the inequality, guys. But again, the standard is setting up the inequality, creating the inequality. Flip the symbol, flip the sign. So at most, your essay can have 530 words. At the least, if you enter that contest, your essay can have, at the least, 470 words. Or anywhere in between these two, okay? But everybody knows 30 under 500 is 470, 30 over 500 is 530. But again, the whole objective is to create the inequality. And that's it, guys. You're going to start on your review for me after this, okay? All right, thanks.